95, Connecticut's #1 rap hip-hop platform. Skills over politics, that means bring your pen game, not your name. Appreciate everybody's been tapping into the show. Before we get into this interview, first and foremost, I want to say rest in peace to Breonna Taylor. We still want justice for Breonna. Care about the money, we don't care about none of that. We want justice for Breonna Taylor.
That's it.
That being said, I got to live. Let's keep it going on positive vibe. Protect our black queens, our black women, all the black women in the United States and the world. Let's protect them. And we got one of my favorite black women in the music industry right now is Londynn B. Appreciate you joining us today.
I appreciate you for having me.
Now we tracked her down. We had to make phone calls. I had to find her, make our way all the way down to Atlanta. Being able to sit down and catch up with her on everything she got going on is important to us for the show. So you got a lot going on ever since from Rhythem and Flow. And I just wanted to, I know a lot of emotions, a lot of things took place in your life. With everything going on, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. A lot has transpired from the show too, so there's a transformation happening.
Okay. All right, so talk to me about, all right, for those of y'all who don't know, you've been living under a rock. She was one of the last 4 contestants on Rhythem and Flow. And amazing, talented artist, came down to the wire, and D-Smoke's won the whole thing. But from what we saw on the outside, you were actually, to me, my opinion, you were one of the more radiant, as they called it on the show, the superstar. You stood out. You stood out as a superstar to me. And after the show, tell me your experience on what happened to you after the show, as where you are right now.
After the show, which big shout out to Rhythem and Flow, Cardi, Chance, T.I., amazing mentors, very, very great at mentoring us, even on the show. So after the show, it kind of continued with other great people who can kind of see your vision, see your talent. So a lot has transpired between the album, between the website, and even just my story with when I filmed the show, my father was incarcerated. He did 25 years to life. After the show, he's currently on his way out. So that was a big transition in my life personally.
Oh wow! So he came home. He's home now,
no, he's not home, but he's on his way.
Okay.
He's on his way. So during the show, that was a big thing for me. Yeah. And we finally got the okay that he can come. So I just want to thank the show for kind of being a partnership in that we had a petition and everything kind of fell in place for him after the show. So it was very important to use the platform.
That's dope. And I know your mom was up there. I seen your mom and your lovely daughter and your wife. So.
Yes.
Now, just talk to me about, you just mentioned about the industry relationships that you have. Coming from an underground artist to being in that position on Rhythem and Flow and what take parts after. Tell me about the transition that happened and then the relationships that was built from it. What was the biggest relationship you got out of that transition of being underground?
I think the biggest relationship, I would say, the easiest one that was built, I would say, is probably Cardi. Cardi was really easy. She was really easygoing. She was very talkative. She was communicative. So it was easy just to kind of build a foundation with her without, any issues. But all of them are great because Chance is really great. T.I. is really great. We were able to have a real relationship with them, and that I can appreciate. It went beyond the show. And then after that is whoever, even Londynn on the track. Anybody you see me with on the show, we still connected. So
that's a beautiful. I love hearing that. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because our platform, we focus a lot on the underground artists.
Yes.
You're an artist from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
You move your way to Atlanta to hustle up and find your way into this industry.
Yes.
And again, this interview is to talk to the underground cast, the ones that's really trying to make their way.
I love that.
Yeah, to really make.
I love that.
And you broke through that barrier. You was able to land in a show like Rhythem and Flow.
Yes.
And one could understand how hard that process is, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about your tenacities and things that you've done, and what you've learned through that process to where you are right now.
I love the underground aspect because no matter what, I'm gonna always feel underground.
Right.
I love the feeling of feeling underground. And that's probably the best feeling in the world because we are like when you're underground, you almost have to work harder than hard. You got to be better than better. So I always keep that mentality. I humble myself every chance I get. So in my mind, I'm still underground. Like, I don't think anything's changed. And coming from those beginnings of even just trying to do music without any direction, because I only did music for 3 years, you kind of have to use what you have. So I started off recording myself on my phone. Then I started trying to download apps and kind of trying to like make songs off an app. And I didn't have a studio. That was just the biggest thing. I just didn't have a studio. I just had a phone and I had a notepad. So I feel like when you talk about being underground, never forget, just use what you have. I feel like they show a lot of big studios, big, TVs, nice cars, and all that stuff is cute. But keep in mind, I like what you say in the beginning, like, bring your bars and not your name is super important. That's what keeps us underground because we don't focus on the name. We don't ever really get to get there. We get to continue to hustle, grind, and motivate. So I would say to any underground artist, just use what you have. Don't be in a rush to get anywhere. Go at your own pace and take every opportunity. When they called me from Rhythem and Flow, they literally called me and I had to leave the next day. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any clothes. I took about 3 outfits and I flew out to LA. You just got to do what you got to do. When you want it that, that's the beautiful part about being underground is we want it that bad.
Right.
The hunger is just, it lives in us. And again, being from New York, especially Brooklyn, you're taught that from a young age. So everything's like a wolf mentality. Everything. So, but I just can't stress it enough that appreciate what you have, even if it's just your phone. Don't go trying to compare yourself to anybody's process because everybody's different. And I do mean everybody.
And I love that you just mentioned about the process.
Yes.
There's a huge part of this road to success that people try to chase clout in a fast way.
Yes.
Try to skip that process.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people miss the opportunity of learning themselves and learning how to actually succeed and not be an overnight success.
Yes.
And not know what to do when you get up that high, right?
Yes.
And let's say something happens where what you were trying to do fails or what you were going for doesn't work, right? Mm-hmm. And you can relate to that a lot when it comes to the show.
Yes.
You got to a point in the show where the final 4 contestants and you weren't the winner of the show.
Yes.
At that point, I was able to, me personally watching the show, I was able to connect with you, that show emotionally because you brought out, you connected with me in a way where we're underground, we're trying to make it. We're just all trying to make it in life for our family and our kids and whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And when you broke down and you were trying to like get the words out, it connected with me because I know I could see how hard and what you put in. Like from that moment, I could see she put a lot into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I want you to talk quickly about like the adversities of going through, like how were you feeling at that point right at that point when that happened and then everything else after? What was the process you went through getting over that?
Coming into it, the process was, be yourself at all times. And I don't know how real people want to keep it with themselves, but it's extremely hard to be yourself. Like, that's just on a day-to-day as you get up, as you try to continue to do, build, and expand. It's extremely hard to be yourself. So in that moment where all of this is new to you, because all of it was new to me, again, big lights, big stages, you almost feel like it was like your 15 minutes of everything you have. Right. And again, that underdog mentality, go hard or go home. So even just kind of going through the process, and it was emotional because we would have to write the lyrics, get 24 hours to remember it, and the next day we hit the stage. So what you don't see is wardrobe malfunctions. What you don't see is like, trying to hurry up and remember your lyrics. What you don't see is like the struggle with trying to remember your lyrics in a room full of 60 people.
Right.
Like, imagine everybody rapping at one time. Right. So anxiety was there. And again, it's a competition. So competition was there. But I think what happened with the final 4, which is so special, just to explain the process, is those 4 they weren't competing with each other. They were more competing with themselves. Right. We had a boundary that I think, certain people had, certain people didn't. Right. But the process was definitely emotional because the reality is this is all you have. And in my mind, I got one shot. So this is before I know who wins. This is before I even think about who's judging. At that point, I didn't care who I was in front of because the process was mine. That was it. So in the season finale where you kind of see the process unfold and I do get emotional is because when you feel like the process is yours, you kind of feel like you got to control it. So I'm not really embracing that this is something for me to go through. I'm figuring out how to get to where I want to be in a very strategic, focused way. So everything is rehearse, write, sleep. Rehearse, write, sleep. Rehearse, write, sleep. So by the time we get to Final Four, you almost feel like, okay, cool. I got it in the bag. I did everything I needed to do. And which I did because I wouldn't have been there if I didn't. Right. But when I got on stage and again, just focusing on the process and using what I have and just being in the moment and embracing, because that was my first time in Hollywood. It was my first time for everything. Everything. I've been doing music for 3 years. I'm on stage with people who've been doing this for 10 years.
Right. Brooklyn, New York. You
for real, like
Brooklyn, New York.
Like they've been doing this for like 10 to 15 years. I kid you not. It's intimidating. I would be lying if I said I wasn't intimidated, but I couldn't think about it. So in that moment, there was no thought every time I hit the stage. There was no feeling. There was just rap, eat, sleep, write, rap, and bring your passion and what you have. So passion was present. It wasn't until that day where I just felt like I couldn't control the passion or the process in that moment because the final say-so was opinionated and it was by 3 people that it's just not you. You just can't control it.
It ain't your call.
I just didn't realize I couldn't control it. Like, AB, like what? They told me, they was like, listen, I just knew it was happening. I started to hear my name before they said it. So intuitively, I'm trying to catch my passion from just spilling on stage. And next thing you know, they say it. And at that point, I realized how hard I fought because it was in that moment I realized how much I've done. I really felt accomplished. That was the day I really felt accomplished. Like, I cried, but I just felt accomplished because in that moment I bust my ass and that's all I could say.
Yeah, not too many. Listen, that opportunity, again, we was watching it again last night. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
It is.
That
it's life changing.
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't happen to artists. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not everybody's journey. It's like it's crazy.
Right. And I thought that was like I said, I thought that was an amazing thing to see. I know your fans connected with you. I know the fans, even me becoming a fan of you, after seeing that, I thought that was like a moment in your career that your fans are gonna remember. Because it's the point where you can emotionally connect with her. Whether she was this stern, energetic person, this energy she has, wherever you got from her, that's the point of this whole process where you connected with her, like officially. I thought that was dope, you know what I mean? And you know, you could see it in the show where in the back room when it was T.I., Cardi B, and Chance when they were talking, and they were like, the superstar out of all of them is Londynn B. And I was just like, me and my the engineer, producer of the show, we talk about it all the time, and it got to a point where we was just like, yo, she really was, she was supposed to be the one, you know what I'm saying, to win it. No,
like I felt the same way.
Like we felt the same way because it's certain very, like, it was like, because it's such a woman's industry right now, you know what I'm saying? It's such a flood of women coming into the industry, and at that time when that show was happening, it's even higher now, but at that time it was an insurgent just starting at that point, and it was like, yo, she's perfect for what's about to happen in the industry. And you know, even after that, I feel like that's part of your success now because a lot of people tapped into you. You got millions of followers, people tapping into you. I feel like it's still, you know what I'm saying, you still
they
going
still
to your,
get that.
they still get that feel. And you know, I want to highlight that real quick. But the fact that my team and I, we had the conversations like she was the superstar of that show. And just want to bring it back to what you was mentioning about your your peers that was on the show. You was up against some
heavy hitters. They don't understand.
So, I don't know how Chance, Cardi, and T.I. did it. I don't know if it was scripted or what, but they picked. That was not a mistake. Those 5 people.
Literally. You can't make the shit we did.
Those are some talented people. Like,
no, seriously.
So you was
on and off camera, like, we had a lot of conversation. The bond was so strong that those 5 were bonded. Those 7, I wouldn't say 8, those 7 were really bonded. And then when it got to top 5, it just got emotional because you just don't want to see anybody go.
Right.
It don't matter who it is. Like, we don't want to see nobody leave. So it was bittersweet the smaller it got, regardless of anything. And again, D-Smoke, that's my brother. So we had the understanding that no matter who won, we're going to support them, we're going to love on them, it's going to be great. So we weren't competing with each other, we were competing with ourselves. And I think that's what people got to see play on camera, and that's why you can't duplicate it.
Right. Well, now, we seen that camaraderie. I don't know how they're going to top that for another season.
I don't know
either.
either.
Good luck, you know what I'm saying?
Big
but that
facts.
was a hell of a season. Now, you know, again, I want to talk directly to the underground artists that's trying to make their way into where you are, and then all the stuff that you're about to do, the stuff that you're working on, and for them to understand what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
After the show is over, the relationships you carried with you. Now, this is the part as an underground. You coming from underground Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
You coming on a major show on Netflix. From there, in front of major platform, in front of major people, and then the progress from that. The next step from that is, what was your next step from that? What did you do? What was your mind frame? Like, what did you strategize to put together for your brand at that point?
To be honest, I ain't gonna lie. I seen that million.
Yeah, talk. It's for the underground.
I ain't gonna lie, cause I went, what's funny is I started doing videos on IG. So keep in mind, again, like it went from like 50K to 1 million. You don't know what to do at first. That's being real. You don't know what to do, it's a lot. At first it's like, ooh, this is 1 million. Who are these people?
Right.
I post a video, they care.
Right.
Because along with that comes criticism, along with that comes everything. You almost have to reset.
Right.
But I would say from underground and making that transition, I think it's about realizing how much you have. Because, how can I say it? In order to appreciate 1 million, you gotta appreciate 50K.
That's a fact.
If that makes sense. So if you are losing the appreciation for what you have, nothing will be good enough.
Right.
And I went through that too. So keep that in mind. Like, you can only really know what to do with that amount of presence when you understand gratitude and appreciation for who you are as a person, as an artist, as a man, woman, whoever you are. So what I will say is making that transition, once it took off, I felt like the world was open to me. Like, that was it. It was all magical. I felt like it was manifested, and the world was open to me. So at that point, I just started utilizing where I can go and where I can't. And it's not like you get everywhere. You just gotta try things. You just gotta have fun with it. No matter what it is, have fun. Don't stress about it. And when you talk about music, underdog, when you talk about being an underdog and when you talk about music, keep in mind it's an opinionated business.
Yes.
It's not facts. It's not who you are. It's opinionated. So we just want to make sure while we're listening to people's opinions, they don't affect us. They don't change who we are. So when I got to that moment of understanding who I was, because I realized how far I got, I can get further. So I just started tapping on doors, knocking on doors. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even have a strategic blueprint on how I do things. I just get up, I try it, and that's just what I'm doing that day, because that's just how I feel. Like.
Okay, now as far as like management, labels, because you know that happens.
Yes.
You know, after the show, what was some of the things that took place? Show ends, everybody goes home.
Yes.
You go home with your millions of new followers, your new fan base, your new life, I would say. What happened to you next? Was there labels reaching out? What was happening with you because you were still independent?
I'm currently still independent, and that's why I still consider myself an underdog.
Okay.
Because you have to keep in mind, I didn't sign a deal.
Okay.
They did come, but I just didn't sign it. Because at that point, I had got what I needed. I got 1 million followers, I do what I want now.
Right.
So to me, it was just about the exposure, and again, that's what keeps me in that space of I'm not here, but I'm right where I need to be for what I need to do. My goal is to stay independent because I just feel like 100% of everything I work for, I'd rather get that.
Right.
I just rather get that. I'd rather not split mine through a whole bunch of different ways. The most I do is a manager. Right. But I feel like in this current moment, and I'm not gonna say I would never sign, but it would have to be structured to where I'm honored in my decision. Right. That's it. I don't want nobody to confuse my decision making for anything other than it being 100% catered to me. So that's just my idea of getting what you want. So again, like, it's so easy to get into what everybody else is getting. Because $100,000 sound like a lot.
Right.
But you work hard. Keep in mind, you work too hard to sell what you've worked for. So I'm still currently independent, and right now I will remain independent because it's working out for me.
Right. So the dope thing, I'm glad you said that, it's working out for you, because the independent route is real. It gets hard.
It is real. It gets hard, long nights.
So with that said, the offers that you got and stuff that came into you and you declined, I want to talk a little bit about that, because again, there's so many independent artists out there right now. Some are getting deals offered to them. Some are jumping on it, and it's terrible situations. What made you, or what made you decide, no, this is not for me, for you to take that route, or to decide whether what was for you or not? Like what made you decide that?
I'm too damn bossy. Okay. I'm just so damn bossy. Like, what? Who gonna try to tell me what to do? It's gonna be a mess. Like, what? They gonna shelf me? I thought about all the things that would go wrong. Yeah. But no, like I did it because I'm headstrong. Mentally, you just have to be headstrong. It's a big job. Being a CEO, being independent is not easy. Please, it's not a walk in the park. But with the opportunity, it made sense. So I do want to speak from people who are creating those opportunities that, keep in mind that, okay, let me say this. It's always about the numbers. Mainstream is numbers. Right. And if you think about the numbers as you as an underdog and the numbers as you going mainstream, there will be a decline, even if you're not on a big scale. If you do the numbers, that will help you determine what is good for you and what is not, because it's all about the numbers, no matter who you're working with. Right. But in this very moment, there's an area of mainstream that's just diluted. Right. And there's a breakthrough of independence that's just accepted. Right. So why not just utilize this moment and where we're going? Because again, this is no secret. You see what Kanye just did. This is no secret at this point. So we gonna believe our eyes, or we gonna believe, you feel me? Like, at this point, we just gotta be honest with ourselves. The numbers ain't adding up. For me, independently, the numbers added up to me. Mainstream, not even mainstream, I'm not gonna say mainstream, I'm gonna say record-wise, it didn't add up to me. And I'm not gonna say it's never gonna add up. I just say work as hard as you can until you can write your own deal. Because other than that, they're gonna write it for you.
Yeah, I love that.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I love the writing the deal part.
Write your own.
Because it goes back into your knowledge around what you need for your own success.
That's it. That's it.
At the end of the day, it's just it brings it back to the independent rappers and artists and singers, whoever out there that's trying to make their way into the industry.
Yes.
It is a huge difference from 50,000 to 1 million followers, right?
Yes.
And would that decision have been different if they came to you at 50,000?
To be honest with you, you get 1 million followers and you ain't got $1 million. You still in that boat of struggle. And it's probably even worse because now you got 1 million people looking at you with not half of what you need.
Right, and they think you...
I had 1 million and I was broke.
Right.
It didn't add up to me. Why do I have 1 million and I'm not broke? So the strategy was to use what I have, because if I don't, somebody else will. And if you don't know how to use what you have, somebody will use what you have for them. Keep in mind, nobody's wasting their time with anything. There's no favors in this. So if you don't think you cute and know how to use your likeness, other people will use your likeness. And that's just something we gotta keep in mind. This is a business. We are not friends. We are not friends. You gotta understand, nobody can create opportunity for you. So when you see these people, understand they have a job to do. So if we start to understand that as a grown, and this is real because again, I still consider myself underdog. I wouldn't tell you nothing that I don't know. There's a power that you have when you can walk around in the freedom that you have. Paperwork is a contract that you now sacrifice certain things in your life and that you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to sit at the table with somebody else to create something for you? Or are you willing to sit at the table and create what you need for yourself? Which one sounds like paradise?
See, that's why I wanted to catch up with you, man. And that's a beautiful thing because, too many artists right now, new artists especially, we seen it with Megan Thee Stallion. It's like so many things can go wrong when it comes to these decisions that's being made. And, to hear somebody that's on their way up, it's good that you have your mind in the right place. You're independent. You're not neglecting it, but you're on the lookout for the best situation that works for you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. You mentioned about the business aspects, business relationships. I know a lot of the people you built a relationship with through the show. Yes. After the show, you had your relationship still. What was one thing that happened after the show where you just like, wow, this is aside from the show, because the show was a complete wow in itself. But after the show, what was one of the things that happened? You just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
Man, now keep in mind we blew up on the internet first. So the shock started to come, like Taraji P. Henson gave me a shout out, and I think that blew my mind.
Yeah,
I said, wait,
dope.
what?
Taraji's dope.
No, for real. Like, and it's a big shock because, again, I grew up watching these people. I'm not thinking nothing of it. And your idols come, like what? Like, people started to write me that did music too, even just on a larger scale. Like, you have people that reach out to you via your DM. I would just say the biggest one that just showed the most love, and it was evident that she was willing to do it all over again, is Taraji P. Henson. Like, literally, she showed a lot of love, and I just didn't see it. I just didn't even see it coming from that direction.
Yeah.
I do music. I ain't thinking about acting. I ain't thinking about like actresses, but she was just such a dope influence. And when she gave me the shout out, it just came from that woman space. Like, and Cardi did too. Cardi gave me a shout out after the show. She shared my So Brooklyn freestyle. So, I mean, again, like, it was just that women empowerment that definitely just activated as soon as possible, and I appreciate all of them.
Yeah,
I appreciate all of them. So I had those moments.
That's definitely, you can see how genuine these love. Certain love you can see is genuine. You know what I'm saying? I seen just to sidetrack real quick and go back to our interview. I seen during the show Rhythem and Flows when they were deciding who the winners were or who the winner is, and they were just about to call your name, and Cardi put her head down. You could tell genuinely she did not.
She couldn't want to see it.
She didn't want to see it. And
that's
I was
my
just
good
like,
sis. She wants to see me go.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this is it's a genuine moment. You know what I'm
for
saying?
real, it was hard.
Because I could see it, and like she genuinely did that. It wasn't even like
but
she
the
was.
energy in the room, man.
It's crazy.
Not only did she put her head down, because you gotta say her supporters are looking at her too to make the decision.
Right.
I don't think nobody wanted to make it.
Right.
They passing it around. It was like it made me antsy. But even the crowd, like people cried in the room.
Yeah.
The whole room cried. Like you can't make that up.
No, it was emotional.
You can't make that up.
It got real emotional.
That is funny. She did put her head down.
I seen that. I was just like, that's a genuine moment. But so let's talk about stuff you got going on right now. You know, because like we're all rooting for you. We're all like, all right, she's doing all these things after the show.
Yes.
The rhythm and her brand is here in our face now. What does she got going on? What's going on with Londynn B? Like, what's you working on right now?
I love that. I'm working on an album.
That's fine.
You guys are gonna see some really dope features. You guys are really just going to see the launch. And keep in mind, listen guys, like I literally just came from like a whole Reiki session. I'm so comfortable today. I didn't show up like Londynn B today, trust me, no worries. But I will honestly say, I feel really, really good about what's coming. We got the album coming, we have a website, we have the new single dropping, because we're gonna give them everything they need, all in one. Like everything is so big that I have to roll it out accordingly. I just say keep watching. It's going crazy. The website is probably one of my biggest accomplishments. Again, if you're independent, keep in mind a website is everything you need. It's all about numbers. I'm giving y'all the game. Like this is everything I'm doing, so y'all know to do it too. A website is extremely important to your growth and your brand. If you skip over that, you might be losing out on some numbers you can't replace. Keep that in mind. But the website is coming, features are coming, videos are coming. I'm really, really just excited about next year. My tour was about to happen, and Corona did everything she wanted to do. So we pushed it back, so next year's the tour. I'm just really excited. I can't say too much, but I'm saying everything.
I know. I got a good, like I said, I got a good feelings. Like, when we do our researches and we handpick the people we want to represent our show and the culture.
That's
and
dope.
You're a part of that representation of what we believe hip hop should look like and the people coming out of hip hop. There's one thing I'm particular about, and I like balance in hip hop. I like it to be balanced. If there's a City Girls, there should be a Lauryn Hill. If there's a it should be. I like balance. I don't think it should be one way. Because hip hop is not one way.
Well, do you feel like female rappers on one side? You feel like
I feel like they're all talking about the same thing, right?
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with what they're talking about. People make it seem like those City Girls, they talk about like ass popping and all that. There's nothing wrong with having fun, right?
Yes.
They make beautiful, fun music. They create vibes. It's dope, but hip hop is not that 24/7. Hip hop, there's another side, and I feel like right now, platforms and radio stations are all catered to one side.
That makes sense.
It should be a balance, right? Yeah. And I say that to say, I noticed something about your style of music and how you rap and the content and the things you talk about. You're not the average female sound rapper.
I appreciate
or
that.
artist.
On the game.
There's certain things you talk about, and I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but it's like I'm happy to see it because your success and you know we pray upon your success, many more success on your progress, but continue with that type of image and what you're doing, right? Because there's not enough of that happening in the industry. You have the look, and then when you hear you rap, the things you're talking about your child, your family, you're talking about making it out. You're talking about certain things, but with the new day sound.
Yes.
And I like that. You know what I'm saying? And you don't necessarily, I don't know if you do it on purpose, but you don't necessarily, that's not what your music is about 24/7.
Yes.
You balance it out. And I like that. I think there should be more female MCs out there. Female MCs, there should be more of y'all out there like that. But, you know, I just wanted to quickly say that. Is there a particular reason why you do that, or
It is. Well, because I feel like, I agree with you. I do think we need a balance. But I also feel like, you know, that balance will be created as much as we open those doors. Absolutely. Like what you're doing is opening those doors for that balance to be created. So we appreciate you for even supporting what we do. And it's very important that I speak on both sides of the fence because I am on both sides. Hence my hair, like I'm really on both sides. So like,
fire.
okay, like,
that's fire.
So I can speak from the middle. I don't speak from this side, I don't speak from this side, but I speak from the middle, I'm the in-between.
Right.
And that's what I love about what I do, because I'm not forced to be here, I'm not forced to be here, but I'm right where I need to be. And that's what I enjoy about me. I don't present too much and I don't present too less, but I'm comfortable. And that's what I want to start to see happen with female rappers, is to start being comfortable with who you are. Like there's a way they want to dress us up. There's a way we have to almost look. And it's just like, you know, we are beyond that now. Like it's time, I just really love what you say. And if you was to say that in a room full of people who had to really honor it, the room will get slim.
Right.
Because people need a name more than they need to say what they need to say.
It's true, because that's why we do this show the way we do it.
Yeah.
It's a hand-selected artist that
I love that.
Invite. It's only certain people, because we know how important it is for platforms to put a certain image out there.
Yes.
And if we're all doing the same thing, there's no balance.
Yes.
Hip-hop is not one way 24/7.
Yes.
There has to be if this radio station is playing nothing but the same type of music and y'all all are following suit, our whole thing, our culture gonna get diluted. We're
Literally.
in trouble. So it's like we have to, instead of me sitting and saying, yo, there's no platform that's out there that's highlighting dope female lyricists that can actually make songs. Literally. Everyone's trying to push that hit single, which is nothing wrong with that. But like, where's the balance? We have to create balance, and then that's what the show came in about. And to bring that back to another point that happened with Rhythem and Flow, it's interesting. The last few people that was left on the show was all dope lyricists.
Yes.
I don't know if people noticed that.
Yes.
Like everybody that was left, you guys can all pen. I wish I was in the room when y'all was like writing y'all verses.
It was intense.
Like from you to D Smoke to Flawless to y'all are all lyricists. Y'all can all write. And I was listening to it, I was like, yo, the last final contestant, I'm actually proud of Cardi B, Chance, and T.I.
Their decision making was on point. They wasn't playing.
I don't think they're gonna be able to pull this off again.
We're kind of trying to see it too. Even as like contestants, we're like, how can you duplicate that energy?
That's gonna be a hell of a challenge for them. But you know, like I said, coming back to what I said, like I like the balance, and that's why we, you know, created what we created, and that's why, you know, I invited you on this show, and I appreciate you taking our invite.
I love
joining
that.
us on this show. You know, I could sit here and talk you to death, but before we wrap up, anything you want to tell the fans, even the young girls coming up that's, you know, trying to get in this industry, you being someone that comes from the trenches of Brooklyn, making your way up, people that nobody knew who you were. Now you're at a point in your career where sky's the limit. Is all up to your decision making on what you want to do, where you are right now.
Yes.
What do you tell to these young new inspiring artists that's coming up right now?
I would definitely tell, again, I can't stress it enough. Because to be honest with you, you don't really make it out the trenches. They just get pretty. They just become in the hills all of a sudden. You might just be, in high places, but the trenches gonna be the trenches. It's just that mentality. It's a wolf mentality. You honestly don't even become a CEO until you realize who you are in that pack. So I would say to all the girls that's coming up, like, present yourself in a way that you can relate to. Because I think what's also happening too, and it's no shade towards anybody, but there's a lot of presence that's missing. So more or less than it's about, like, how you come off, just make sure it's you at this point. Like, create what you want to happen, be firm in what you believe. You're beautiful, don't have to look like nobody beauty. Stay in your own lane, you're not competing with nobody. And even for my guys, like, there's a lot of guys that's doing it on a large scale. I really love, like, it's my favorite rappers are like male rappers. Those are like my biggest influences. So I would say to them, they've taught me a lot. And I just appreciate you, black men, for what you guys have given to hip hop for such a long time. So I just want to say to other creators that I'm appreciative and I thank you. And even to my women, I appreciate you guys. The ones that paid the wave, Lil' Kim, Eve, Rod Digga, Remy Ma, like, come on, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, the list goes on. I love you ladies, and y'all helped me become who I am. So I would say, just use what you have. Don't compete, because that slow down the process. I promise you, use what you got, and you're going to get where you need to be. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Londynn B. And before we sign off, black woman, we love you.
Yes, yes.
Protect the black queens.
R.I.P. Breonna Taylor. Yes, sir. Arrest the motherfuckers.
We could cut, motherfucker.